Hey everybody, this is the show for drummers only. Today, we talk about Dave Grohl. I'm sorry for the sadness for people who are no longer with us. I'll say that right up front. Dave Grohl, born in 1969, he's an American singer, songwriter, and guitarist, and he's a director. He's most well known as the drummer for Nirvana when they were at their peak. He heads the Foo Fighters these days and drummer for them, Crooked Vultures, as well. He also toured with Queens of the Stone Age and has released solo albums with himself as the lone musician and vocalist with multi-tracks, of course. His albums with the Foo Fighters have won 4 Grammys, and Dave was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame with Nirvana in 2014. Dave Grohl was born in Warren, Ohio, but the family moved to Springfield, Virginia. He learned guitar at age 12, and at 13 he heard his first punk band, and he decided that was for him. In high school, he and his friends played parts of songs by the Bad Brains and the Circle Jerks over the school intercom. He played guitar in Freak Baby. Grohl taught himself to play drums. He reformed the band, called them now Mission Impossible. To learn drums, he played along to Rush and sundry punk rock bands. He also liked John Bonham, who didn't. Next bands for Grohl were Dane Bramage, Fast, and Scream. Scream recorded an LP. Grohl spent time at the 930 Club in D.C., and that's where he joined Scream as a drummer. He dropped out of high school and lied about his age to do it. Scream put out 2 live albums and toured in Germany. The studio albums were No More Censorship and Fumble. Grohl wrote and sang God's Look Down on that track. Well, playing with Scream, Grohl became a fan of the Melvins, and he also became friends of the Melvins. In 1990, the Melvins, Buzz Osborne, took 2 friends to see a Scream show. The friends were Kurt Cobain and Chris Novoselic. Scream's bassist Skeeter Thompson quit to join the Four Horsemen, and Scream died out. Grohl called Osborne for advice, and Osborne told him Nirvana were looking for a drummer. Dave called Cobain to inquire, and Cobain and Novoselic agreed to an audition, after which Grohl joined Nirvana full time. Nirvana had already recorded Bleach, which was their first studio album. Nirvana signed with DGC Records to record their second album, which was to be called Nevermind, recorded at Sound City in Los Angeles. Insecticide was an album of outtakes with Dale Cromer from the Melvins. This is known as the Lost Nirvana album from 1988. Now, Kurt Cobain is from Aberdeen, Washington. It's Washington State. Nirvana's album Bleach was popular with local colleges, and the band toured with it in and around the Seattle area. and then nationally. After adding GROHL, the next album, Nevermind, took shape. Here's the songs. 1. Smells Like Teen Spirit. Hello, How Low. Got a little bit of it in the guitar break, if you ask me. 2. In Bloom. It's got a bunch of it in the vocals, line 3 of the verse especially. 3. Come As You Are. And the drums are good because they don't step all over the song and the vocals. 4. Breed. Got it in the chorus. If you don't know what I'm talking about, it is this hard to define grouping of notes couched in a chord that's a little surprising, or a lot surprising, to the point where the hairs stand up on the back of your neck, or maybe up on your arms, or you get goosebumps hearing it because it's so unexpected. You know, that's what I call it. I'm always looking for it in my reviews. Anyway, Breed is in the chorus. It's got a very static verse, but the static part sets the it up. And it's great. I love it. 5. Lithium. Yeah, lithium. You know what lithium is, right? It's a rare earth. It's an element. You're supposed to have a certain amount. If you don't, you go a little crazy. Check your science book about that. I guess, you know. Polly. It's the next song. It's like a parrot I am. I'm going to check the elemental tables, see if lithium's on there. I forget what number. What is the atomic weight of lithium? Some of you must know. 7. Territorial pissings. Thrash. Gotta find a wife, a better wife, better than the one you got. 8. Drain You, and 9. Lounge Act. I listened to these, but I must have got distracted. 10. Stay Away. This one's less good. It's got the wipeout drums that go, you know like that. Wipeout. Wipeout. And On a Plane. Can't explain. I can't complain. Love myself better than you. You know it's wrong, but what do I do? And 12. Something in the Way. The bridge. It's an imaginary bridge. Hey, it's okay to eat fish. They have no feelings. I hope. 13. Endless, Nameless. That's a hidden track, folks. It's a kind of a gym jam. The album hit like a thunderclap. It flew off the shelves. 300,000 a week. 30 million worldwide in almost no time. GROHL was compiling his own material during the recording and the touring for Nevermind. He put out a cassette only called Pocket Watch in '92. He didn't use his own name on the label. One of GROHL's songs, Color Pictures of a Marigold, appealed to Cobain, and it was included on Nirvana's next single as a B-side for Heart-Shaped Box. Nirvana now had 3 songwriters, and In Utero was the follow-up to Nevermind. Here are the songs. Number 1, Serve the Servants. It's not Nevermind. I think it tries too hard. 2, Scentless Apprentice. We're disappointed? Nispa? 3. Heart-shaped box. Well, this is the best cut. Hey, wait, I got a real complaint. For Rape Me. It's got a good melody. Certainly hate the lyrics. I think you're supposed to hate the lyrics on this song. 5. Frances Farmer will have her revenge on Seattle. Did that happen? 6. Dumb. I think the music's getting a little redundant. Sorry. 7. Very Ape. Oh boy, this is a tosser. 8. Milk It. It's got stops, so the drummer's got to know where the stops are. 9. Penny Royal Tea. It's got that soft and loud, then soft and loud. It's that grunge pattern that we all have come to know. 10. Radio-friendly unit shifter. Not. No. 11. Tourette's. This one's hardcore. 12. All Apologies. It says it's the missing song. I don't know, did somebody find it? I think maybe somebody must have found that. 13. Gallows of rubbing oil, alcohol, flow through this strip. This is the hidden track. And Kurt is the sacrifice. And he knows it. Who's Smash? Prior to Nirvana's 1994, the band was scheduled to record in Seattle, but Cobain was absent. GROHL and Novacek worked on their own songs for 2 days. On the third day, Cobain showed up. Sounds like a sermon, doesn't it? The band recorded You Know You're Right. And it was their last recording. Kurt Cobain was a junkie. He also struggled with depression. His marriage to Courtney Love, also a junkie, was, well, you know. The story is that Kurt couldn't stand being a rock icon. He was called the vanguard of Generation X, personally responsible for the advent of grunge and the Seattle music scene. Here's the question, though. Was Kurt's death a result of the Seattle scenes becoming commercial? Did success wreck the bands? Police concluded that Kurt died of a self-inflicted gunshot wound to the head. And everybody knows the story. Conspiracies, murder, insanity. Well, let me tell you what I think. I think Kurt Cobain was more depressed than he let on. His parents divorced when he was 9. His personality was shattered. He picked on kids at school. He was moody, withdrawn, uninterested in school or sports. His dad forced him to go out for wrestling, and he was good at it, but he hated it. Participating on the school team, it was, I don't know, sweaty, smelly. His dad also made him go out for baseball with similar results. And his dad also promised not to remarry, but then he did remarry, and Kurt was crazy angry. When he cooled off, he saw that now he'd have a whole family with dad, stepmom, and her 2 kids. Another child was born, and Kurt decided that this was not his real family. His birth mom also remarried to a man who was abusive to Kurt. Kurt also witnessed domestic violence on his mom. She would not press charges. Kurt's father took him to a therapist. The therapist decided that Kurt would benefit from a single family, so his dad got full custody. And Kurt was off the charts rebellious as a teen. His father was unable to get through to Kurt, so he gave Kurt to a friend's family who were born-again Christians. And Kurt became a devout Christian, but in a short time he renounced Christ. Kurt befriended a gay student, and Kurt was bullied by boys who decided Kurt must also be gay. He wasn't, but he told people that he wished he was, to piss off the homophobes. He also drew during classes. He was good, but his drawings were inappropriate. The thriving punk scene in the Northwest beckoned. He didn't create it. He was drawn to it. Kurt got a guitar and an amp and held his demons at bay with loud, harsh sounds and eventual bands. And he was homeless for a time, because now his parents asked him to leave if he didn't get a real job. So he lived under a bridge for a while, but Chris Novacek said that this was imaginary. I don't know which. I think I'd remember if I lived under a bridge. I'd probably remember that it was imaginary. And go check the bridge, see if there was some couches down there or something. Anyway, Chris and Kurt would become friends and attended rock concerts together. He would have several love interests, girls who could never provide him with maternal connection. It was so absent in his life. His first band was named Fecal Matter, and he tried to sound like the Melvins, like a sludge metal out of Washington State. Fecal Matter also played covers of the Ramones, Led Zeppelin, and Hendrix. And Fecal Matter also did originals, and Kurt had written some of these. Kurt got Chris Novacek to hear the tapes, and Chris agreed to help Kurt form a new band. Good going, Chris. Kurt had an interest in Buddhism, and that's where the Nirvana name originated. The album, Nevermind, was an unexpected success for Kurt, who had no way to be prepared for attention and scrutiny by the media. Bands Alice in Chains, Pearl Jam, Soundgarden, all technically superior to Nirvana, clambered about the Nevermind Express, and they were also noticed. They clambered on board Kurt Cobain's coattails. They were signed and propelled into the limelight, and alt rock became the most dominant music on the radio in the 90s, blowing other genres out of the water. Kurt was still being influenced by bands he liked. He wished he could write and play as well as Sonic Youth, that's what he said, and R.E.M. Cobain was thought of as a champion, but yet unknown musicians were that he liked were like the Meat Puppets, who appeared on Nirvana's MTV Unplugged concert, where the Meat Puppets came from, another great band. And the Unplugged show was recorded and released and successful. Nirvana covered David Bowie's The Man Who Sold the World and the traditional folk song Where Did You Sleep Last Night, as well as pared down versions of Nirvana's discography, which was only 3 albums plus the Unplugged Live. Kurt admired Leadbelly. He wished he'd heard him sooner in his career. He rated Leadbelly as superior to any other rock guitarist or musician. Kurt talked about making another Nirvana album with REM singer Michael Stipe. It would have been quiet and acoustic. It didn't happen. Courtney Love became enamored with a reluctant Kurt, who liked her but was unwilling to commit to her. He wanted to be a bachelor. Dave Grohl knew Courtney and encouraged Kurt to start a relationship with her. Thanks, Dave. Dave had no idea that Courtney was a heroin addict, but heroin was the bond when Kurt took up the habit. Their daughter Frances was born with heroin in her blood. The media went nuts. Tabloids were all over the couple. Cobain was like a gift that kept on giving to the most salacious newspapers as well as national magazines. Love claimed to have been clean when her daughter was born, but Kurt wasn't. Kurt had a lot of pain to extinguish, and heroin is good for that. No, it isn't. It's bad for everything. Too bad about the awful addiction that comes with it. Kurt's chronic bronchitis was made worse by attempts at withdrawal. And a cousin showed up with knowledge of suicides, mental illness, and alcoholism rampant in Cobain's family tree. Kurt didn't know. Now he did. Kurt also suffered from a mystery pain in his stomach, which would ebb and flow with his amount of heroin use. The abuse went on from 1986 and becoming full-blown addiction in 1990. That is a long time. That's when his band found out about it, was 1990. There was an intervention by friends of the band which was not helpful, but Kurt agreed to a detox. His friends knew about his addiction but were unaware of his depression and swore that Kurt showed no suicidal signs. Kurt escaped from the detox facility and flew back to Seattle. He went into hiding and his body was found at his home on April 8th, 1994. There was a shotgun next to him, but the hole in his head was tiny. His autopsy showed a high concentration of heroin and traces of diazepam. There was a note explaining that Kurt had not felt the excitement of writing and performing his music for a long time. And he was 27. Dave Grohl later claimed that he knew Kurt would not make it into his 30s. Dave grieved by recording 15 new tracks, playing all the parts, over-tracking, sampling. Pat Smear, formerly with the Germs, and William Goldsmith and Nate Mendel formed the Foo Fighters with Grohl as frontman and guitar. Now, I'm not a Foo fan. For the sake of Mid-Rock Crisis, I will review the songs. Now, I don't know how far I'll get with this. Wish me luck. '95, the Foo Fighters album. This is just, maybe a D plus at best. I'll tell you what, it's a murky song about fingernails. Second song was not grunge. I'll Stick Around is okay. Maybe a 4. Up into C territory. There's a Big Me. There's a missed bass note. It's introduced Alone and Easy Target. Mud. It's a 0. Where's the studio? Good grief. Exactly. Floaty. Nice. Melody. Guitar. Sucks. Weenie Beanie. Weenie Beanie. Unlistenable. Noise. Oh George. For all the cows. Ecstatic. Extremely bad. An F. Are we disappointed yet? Watershed. Oh, why yes. Yes, I think we are. We are disappointed. We are exhausted. You and me both. I know that Foo Fighters is a big band. Very popular. I don't get it. Here's the other albums. 97, The Color of the Shape. Don't Want to Be Your Monkey Wrench. This is pop music. 99, There's Nothing Left to Lose. That's not good news. 02, One by One. 05, In Your Honor. 07, Echoes, Silence, Patience, and Grace. 2011, Wasting Light. 2014, Sonic Highways. 2017, Concrete and Gold. I'm sorry. I'm not a fan. Dave GROHL's a very good drummer. Maybe one of the best drummers out there. I know he gets accolades for being the nicest guy in the music industry. Always smiling. Smiling is good. But I don't think he's that good guitarist. I don't think he's that good at lyric writing either. I don't see where that's coming from. I'm not jealous. I'm an old man. I can say what I think. Foo Fighters probably would be, acceptable if Kurt Cobain and Nirvana weren't just before them. They couldn't follow Nirvana. They couldn't. So they didn't. And they don't. Anyway, thank you for being with me for Drummers Only. Before I go, I want to read you something I picked up from Bob Dylan. Dylan said, "The blues is more than something to sit home and arrange. What made the real blues singers so great is that they were able to state all the problems they had, but at the same time they were standing outside them and could look at them, and in that way they had them beat. What's depressing today is that many young singers are trying to get inside the blues, forgetting that those older singers used them to get outside of their troubles. What does this have to do with Tool? Probably nothing. Danny Carey is athletic, as metal drummers have to be. Oh yeah, I was going to use this as a walk into a review of the band Tool, but halfway through I decided it just wasn't worth it. They said they were pretty, evil. Now King Diamond, that's a good band, and that's the real thing. So's East Coast Pete. I'm real. I'm an old man, but I'm here. Thanks everybody for being with me. With that, please take good care of yourselves. Please take good care. Bye-bye.